Hi, I'm Rosh from Energy Matters. Welcome to our podcast, Road to Zero, where we dive headfirst into all things renewable. Join us as we chat with industry experts, tech specialists, and some of your favorite TV and radio personalities, asking the renewable energy questions that you want answers to. Our goal, a zero carbon future. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by an old friend and amazing entrepreneur, Ed Vawdrey, the co-founder of Popit. Ed, how are you?
Great, thanks, Rosh. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, you are very welcome. It's been a lot. Well, I say it's been a long time. It hasn't. So we're only filming together a short while ago, but absolutely blown away with your latest technology, Popit Recycling. Stunning piece of kit, which is going to transform the planet and start with Australia, of course. Ed, before we get into the technology and what's featuring this week, and just for anyone watching or listening, this week on Saturday at 4 p.m. on 9 Live on our TV show Energy Matters, we are going to be featuring Popit Recycling, which is transforming the dairy industry. So it's going to be an amazing segment. You definitely want to watch it. We'll talk about that shortly, Ed. But before we do, a little bit background on yourself. I mean, I know you really well, but for anyone watching or listening, can you tell us a little bit more about your career to date and what led you to creating Popit?
All right, thanks, Rosh. Well, I guess going way back, university was a while ago for me now. I won't say how long ago, but I trained as a mechanical engineer. I guess I've always liked to solve problems, and so the idea of engineering really appealed to me. Although it wasn't long out of university working in manufacturing that I realised I wasn't particularly interested in pursuing a technical career. So I tried a few different things along the way, including a stint with a business consulting firm here in Melbourne called Terra Firma, which I really enjoyed. But that was all before I decided to have a crack at going into business with a couple of mates. So that was back in 2012. We were all in our early 30s, and we gung-ho, we set up an outsourced sales company called Redwood. So we provided sales teams for energy, telco, and solar companies. So Redwood was a success. We grew it to over 100 salespeople doing lots of sales, and it spun off a second company called Bevo, which is a move-in service for businesses. It connects power, internet, phones, and the rest when businesses move into a new site. So both Redwood and Bevo are still going strong today, but a few years ago now, I decided to look for a new challenge, and I knew I wanted to do something focused on sustainability. I'd really enjoyed working on the solar projects that I'd done at Redwood and at Bevo. So that's when I reconnected with Andrew Hinson. So we worked together way back in my engineering days back at Holden. And through Andrew, I met Tony. So Andrew and Tony are my co-founders at Popit Recycling. So we really got together to take action on plastic waste, and we had the idea that we needed to create better technology for people to deal with their waste. And so Popit Recycling was born, and here we are today.
Which is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's such an amazing sort of career, if you like, and such a huge transition as well from doing what you were doing before. Because obviously, I knew you back in the day, and to go from the Bevo and Redwood to then creating Popit. I mean, when you first told me about Popit, I was like, really? Like, how did you get from here to here? Which is absolutely incredible. Obviously, spurred on and inspired by transforming the industry and the war on waste, which is incredible. And obviously very sort of like, really touches on the humanitarian aspects of who you are as an individual. Can you tell me a little bit more about the sort of thought process behind Popit and how it kind of works?
Yeah, so as I said, we got together to take on waste, but waste is a large and complicated issue. And specifically, we were looking at plastic. So we kind of dove headfirst in, and one thing that immediately became of interest to us was milk bottles. So most people put their milk bottles in recycling bins, you and I. But when you go to the supermarket, you'll notice that all of the milk is in new or virgin plastic bottles. So we wanted to understand this, and we teamed up with a company called Martog, a recycled resin manufacturer, and we spoke with a bunch of milk companies to understand why that is. And we discovered the root of that problem is really cost. So the cost of recycled plastics is much higher than virgin or new plastic. It's about 40% more expensive. So what we came up with is a solution that we call take-back recycling. So where milk companies take back their empty bottles from their B2B customers and recycle them in-house using one of our proprietary machines. So this process is much cleaner and much cheaper than sourcing recycled plastics in the traditional way, which involves picking milk bottles out of commingled recycling bins. So what we're aiming to prove with our first pilot machine at Procal, which we'll talk about in a sec, is that take-back recycling is in fact cheaper than making milk bottles from new or virgin plastic. And this will completely eliminate the cost barrier to industry-wide adoption of recycled milk bottles.
Yeah, which is absolutely incredible. And I can really, one of the things I did learn on the day, aside from how the whole recycling process works, is really how fine the margins are in the dairy industry. I really every cent or fraction of a cent makes a huge difference in terms of managing that organization and being able to, and business continuity, which was, incredible to know, and really to understand as well the sort of metrics and the sort of economies involved inside of the types of plastic that's actually used to manufacture the actual bottles themselves. So it was incredible. Let's play a quick video. You led it on not quite nice in your conversation, mate. So we did film at Procal. It was an incredible day, and it is going to feature this week, Saturday, 4 p.m. on 9 Live on Energy Matters. Let's have a quick look at what you're going to see.
So the recycling process that we're pioneering, we call take-back recycling. So the milk company takes back the bottles from their customers when they're empty. They come back via the delivery trucks that are coming back to base. So once they get back to base here, the bottles will be processed in this machine. What this first machine is going to do is process those bottles into what's called a rinsed flake product. So that product has a commercial value and it will generate some income for the site. And then the second installation we do in a few months from now, we'll take that rinsed product through to a higher grade of flake that will be suitable for making recycled plastic granules that can go back into the milk bottles here at Procal.
So Ed, that was absolutely amazing, mate. I have to say you were fantastic on camera. You absolutely crushed it. Did you enjoy the process?
Thanks, Rosh. I think you're being very kind. It was a lot of fun. So you and the rest of the crew made it very relaxed and comfortable. It was a great day. And your joke about the cows or lack thereof, that was a ripper too.
Oh, look, I always have this, thought process behind walking in any type of organisation. I'm just going to see the most basic form of what should be there. And I was seriously looking around for a cow. But clearly there wasn't any on location, but plenty of milk. So, we've had a quick look on the outside. It looks amazing, incredible technology. So can you tell me a little bit more about what we're going to see on this particular segment on this week's episode?
Yeah, so we'll see 3 speakers. So the first will be Taylor from Procal. So Taylor will be talking about the Procal business, so what they do on the site in Campbellfield, and particularly why they were looking for a recycling solution and how Popit fits into that. Next, you'll see me talking about the Popit Recycling machine, its origins, expanding a little bit on what we've discussed this morning, and talking about how it works. And finally, you'll see Jin from Dairy Australia. So she'll be talking about the dairy industry as a whole, in particular, the sustainability targets the industry has set and how Popit will help achieving those targets.
And with Popit itself, is there going to be a point at which, I know right now once those bottles are broken up into the smaller components, those flakes, they're added to sort of virgin plastic. What prevents anyone watching? What actually prevents an organisation using 100% recycled plastic?
Okay, so at the moment, nobody is using recycled plastic in milk bottles. When the transition starts with Popit in a couple of months' time, the goal is to go to 20 or 30% recycled plastic in the milk bottle. There is an upper limit, though, on how much of the recycled plastic you can blend into a milk bottle. So recycling HDPE, which is the plastic that's used in milk bottle, versus PET, which people are familiar with in water bottles, for example. It's not as mature in terms of the technology and its use in the market. But we know that we can blend up to about 80%. It'll really be a bit of a question of running through the pilot, determining what the right level is. But starting at 20% is a significant step forward from where we are today.
So Ed, when I look at the technology, and it obviously it's absolutely incredible what you've done, and the fact it is, it is almost like I say portable. It's obviously a big piece of kit. But seems to me that sort of technology could be transferable across, many sort of other sort of industries. Can you tell me a little bit more about, your goals for Popit and its deployment?
So where we're at with Popit is we've just deployed the first half of the total Popit solution to the Procal site. So it's machine 1A. What that machine will do is it will take returned milk and cream bottles and it will process them into a product that we call rinsed flake. So flake is like the bottle cut up into like a confetti. It's been rinsed, so most of the milk and cream residue's been removed. It's been dried and then it's packaged in a bulk bag ready for transport. So that's the first half of the solution, and that's what we're going live with as we speak and what's going to be featured on the episode. What's coming in a couple of months' time is we will deliver a second machine to the Procal site, so machine 1B. And what that machine will do is it will further process the rinsed flake that machine 1A is producing. So what machine 1B will do is it will further process the flakes that 1A is producing, so into a product we call hot caustic wash flake. So first we will wash the flake in a hot washing machine. We've got some proprietary technology in our machine, but it's washing that flake to a higher standard so that it will be suitable for use back into a food application, in this case milk bottles. We'll be removing all of the labels and the label glue and any other contaminants from the flake. We dry the flakes, we sort the flakes by colour, so we end up with all of the natural or clear coloured plastic in one bag, which is the plastic we will eventually use to make new milk bottles, and all of the coloured plastic and any residual labels, so the lids are usually colourful, all of that will end up in another bag and that will go into another recycling application. So we'll package all the flakes into bulk bags, again ready for transport, and finally we'll do another step inside the machine where we will clean the water used in the process before we discharge it. So it's important we don't create another waste problem by processing the plastic on site at the milk company. So the flakes produced by 1B will be reprocessed by our partner Martog into what's called recycled HDPE granule, and that granule will be supplied to Procal to manufacture new milk bottles on their site. And this will be the first time that a milk company has collected their own milk bottles back, reprocessed the plastic and used it to manufacture a new milk bottle.
Which is absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm sure from Procal's perspective, they must be absolutely delighted to A, sort of have this technology available to them, B, be able to reduce that cost of manufacturing, which, as we said earlier, it's all those cents that make a huge difference. And the fact you can actually deliver this and they can actually deliver and create or manufacture a new bottle, not at, even the same cost of an existing one, but slightly cheaper as well, is even more beneficial to them. I mean, are Procal going to be, I'm assuming they'd love to be the only ones using your technology, but it's like anything in life, you get first dibs, but then it has to move on and you go through mass adoption. I mean, what is your strategy and plan for Popit thereafter?
Yeah, so look, we're very much focused on recycling milk bottles at milk companies to begin with. Procal is our first pilot site. We have a second pilot site that has already been identified, and we're in discussions with a couple of milk companies about a third pilot site. So those three pilots will be all up and running by the end of this year. And through that pilot, we hope to demonstrate, obviously, the technology working, but we want to demonstrate commercially that we're able to recycle milk bottles, as we say, at or below the cost of new virgin plastic. So that's the key goal that we're seeking to achieve. We would like from there to see that take back recycling become an industry standard for the dairy industry. The industry wants to achieve a significant target, and they've set out a roadmap for recycled content in their packaging. We think Popit can play a significant role in achieving those targets. And then I guess medium to longer term, take back recycling is a model of recycling that we believe could be adopted by many other industries, in particular where products or foods are being delivered to B2B customers, and there is an opportunity to take back that packaging via the delivery network. So, this is very much the starting point, and this is where we're going to prove the technology and the commercial model, but we can see Popit being applied in a number of different applications.
Look, absolutely. And I mean, I just to digress slightly, I mean, to get to where you've got to, there must have been so many challenges. Like, it must have been a very, very long process, and more so inside of when you consider that you are actually specifically focusing in the food industry, so really, cleanliness, hygiene, all those kind of factors really play a massive part. So really, that must, can you talk me through some of those challenges that you faced? And in terms of, obviously, and I know you've said proprietary technology inside the washing, so I'm not gonna push you too much about that proprietary technology. But I'm sure anyone listening or watching is going to be interested to know, how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, so I guess technically the key challenge for Popit was developing the Popit recycling machine. And for take-back recycling to work, and I mean commercially be viable, what we had to come up with was a recycling machine or plant that is significantly smaller, like a fraction of the size and a fraction of the cost of traditional recycling plants. So traditionally, recycling equipment and recycling plants are very large, centralized facilities dealing with huge volumes of mixed and complicated waste streams. The technical problem for Popit looks quite different. Milk companies are collecting back mostly milk and cream bottles. Now, sometimes we get some contamination and some rubbish coming back with that, and the Popit machine is designed to deal with that contamination. But really what we're dealing with is a fairly clean stream of recyclable material. So the technical challenge for our equipment is different to a recycling plant. And we have got a couple of very clever engineers on our team. So Andrew Hinson and Tony Davies, and they have used some, I guess, well understood technologies. They've applied them to recycling in a way that they perhaps haven't been applied before. And what we've been able to come up with is a recycling plant that is cheaper than equivalent equipment that would be used in a large recycling plant.
Yeah, which is absolutely incredible. So it really is, the fact you managed to develop an amazing piece of tech that is not only, small, and it is like, although it is a lot, don't get me wrong, it's, you rock up to it, it's quite imposing, but it's beautifully styled as well. So it actually looks very, very elegant. But it's a decent size. But once again, the fact you can actually just transport that is, as I said, portable loosely, but you can't just pick it up, throw it behind your back and take it down the road. But at the same token, you've actually positioned it really, really well. How big's the second unit going to be comparatively to the first one?
The second unit that we install at Procal will be of a similar size. So just to give people an idea of that, the first unit is 9 meters long. It's 3 meters tall by 3 meters wide. The second unit will be roughly the same dimensions. When we do, and remember, Popit is a development exercise. When we do pilot site number 2, we will be integrating those 2 units into one enclosure. That one enclosure we expect will be somewhere of the order of just one of the 2 that have been delivered at Procal. So each time we deliver one of these machines, it will get smaller and it will get cheaper. And the idea is that over time, Popits become smaller, smarter, and cheaper to the point where one day they could be deployed not just at large commercial sites, but in public sites throughout the community, perhaps a vending machine-sized unit that could be used to recycle, consumer waste at that sort of scale.
Yeah, which will be absolutely incredible. I really can see a future, Ed, where you're walking down the street, having a morning walk with your bottle, and there's just Popits everywhere, literally. Last question, probably the most important one for anyone listening right now. Where did Popit come from? Can you tell me the name?
Popit is the action. So we want that to be synonymous with using our equipment. You pop it in, and that is job done. Because, recycling, I think as a community, we've been, very diligent in recycling and using the recycling system that we have available to us. It just happens that recycling system is pretty old now. It's pretty low tech. It's not achieving a, fantastic result. So what we're all about is innovation, using technology to help improve processes like recycling. And we want people to think Popit as an action synonymous with Popit recycling.
Absolutely wicked. I love it. And just a final question. It's more just to get your thoughts around, what we're doing on the TV show, and really for consumers watching the show. I mean, why do you think it's important for people to better understand energy and how they can make a difference?
Yeah, look, I think, Rosh, most people are aware these days of the importance of clean and efficient energy use. It's a critical part of the sustainable future that we're all working towards. Now, Popit and recycling plays a significant role in that. So people may not know, but recycled plastics consume a fraction of the energy that it takes to manufacture new or virgin plastics. So by recycling plastic, not only are we saving waste from landfill that can be toxic in the environment, we're also saving a significant amount of energy. And all of that relates to cost, and it relates to emissions. So look, what we hope we're doing with Popit is giving people some ideas. We hope that we inspire others to innovate in this space, because we think, energy efficiency, waste and recycling, they're all areas that need lots of innovation, lots of solutions like Popit, and lots of pioneers like Procal to give them a go.
No, fantastic. And the Procal are great. They've got some amazing products. I mean, I was just checking out the Greek yogurt when I was there, as well as their New Jersey milk. So it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So anyone out there who likes milk, definitely try Procal. But Ed, final question. I mean, anyone watching or listening out there today who's really showing an interest in Popit and what you guys actually do, I mean, is there anything that you're looking for right now inside of Popit to help develop, to grow, to sort of take it to the next level?
Yeah, look, I think I mentioned we are still in discussions for our third pilot site. So there is an opportunity for other milk companies to get in touch and talk to us about participating in that third pilot, which will happen probably very late this year, potentially early next year. The other thing that we're looking for, and we're in discussions with a number of companies around this already as well, is other industries interested in the idea of take-back recycling. Reach out and get in touch. We'd be interested to have a look at different applications. There's one or two others already that we've started to investigate, but we would like to see, particularly industries and organisations interested in giving something like this a try. Please get in touch.
Amazing. Good stuff, Ed. Well, look, thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see you this Saturday, 4 p.m. on 9 Live. Anyone watching or listening, you definitely do not want to miss this episode. It's going to be an absolute barnstormer. Obviously, Popit's going to be on there, which looks incredible, as well as a few other amazing brands. So don't miss it. Ed, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rosh. Great to be here.
Good man. Okay, guys. So you heard it all here first. Recycling is key. We can't all have our own Popit, not just yet anyway. But for now, make sure you are recycling all plastic waste into the necessary recycling bins, and do your little bit to help the environment. Reducing your carbon footprint a lot of the time means you're also reducing your energy bills as well. So do what you can do around your homes. Watch our TV show to get inspired. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to chatting to you again very, very soon. All the best.